What's up, everyone? This is Morsi, and I am creating this video because I wanted to share some thoughts I was having about the term energy vampire and also how we can respond to them. How we can respond to when we find ourselves in situations where we're around people where we feel like we have lower energy levels than before we were around them. But first and foremost, I'd like to talk about the term. It's important to remember that any label you give another individual, it really creates this environment in your mind where you're overlooking the humanity in the other person. You're overlooking the depth within that other person. And I know, there are a lot of people who do and say hurtful things and make us feel very low and like less of ourselves. So, I'm not necessarily saying to love them. You know what I mean? On another level, yes, it's love, but not love in the conventional way. It's a matter of when you sit down and you're reflecting on your experience, it's important that you step away from such a surface level term so that you can really understand what you experience, so you can see yourself in more depth. Because you're the term energy vampire, it creates this good guy, bad guy mentality, and that isn't setting a very healthy or a strong foundation for your journey. That's, when I go and I write in my journal, I don't really use that term. That term isn't used much. I hear it a lot, and I think I've created a video about it before. But it's really important to make sure that you acknowledge that that person is another individual with a life and they do things for a certain reason. And in a way, it is empathy. And it's not saying that you need to stay around that person. You need to be around that person. Do what you got to do. Do what presence leads you to do. But it's really important just to not forget that, because if you think about it, when people are sent off to war, they're trained in their mind to no longer look at the other people as individuals. They look at them as an image, as a target. And I think that's what I was trying to get to, that it's an image you create in your mind that creates a surface level understanding. So just remember that when you want to look deeper, when you need a higher perspective, truly let go of these labels. Number two, when it comes to responding to energy vampires, responding to people who you deem unconscious in the moment, or unconscious behavior and experiences, whatever it might be, understand this, and I know you've heard this before. The only power that someone has is the power you give them. The only power your thoughts have are the power you give them. This isn't meant for you to feel like, this means I blame myself. No, this is much higher. This is on a much higher state of consciousness than blame. Blame is such a low vibration. I'm speaking to you in a much more higher state of consciousness, a higher perspective. This is empowering. The fact that no one, absolutely no one in this world can take anything away from you. It's kind of like when you're dreaming and you're having a lucid dream, and all of a sudden you remember, like, whoa, I can actually choose where I want to go. I can fly. I can tell this person to back off and they'll back off. I can do what I want, right? It's recognizing that you have the power, and the more you envision this in your mind, when you are confronted with an individual, someone you deem an energy vampire, someone like that, you won't feel like you need to be in defense mode. No one wants to live in defense mode in their mind. That's such a low vibrational way to be. It's something that, I learn to do every day, to allow myself to be present. As long as I have enough a field of presence within me to step back and be like, listen, I have the power to choose how I want to perceive the situation. I choose how much power I give this individual, and I can give this individual 0 power. And many times, majority of the time, 9 times out of 10, 99.9% of the time, they back off because you're not giving them what they want. They want your energy. They want what you're giving them. And when you know enough, when you're aware enough, alert enough, present enough, you're going to be too boring for them. You're not going to be fun to person to try and take your energy, or whatever you might say, to try and for you to unconsciously, you know, we unconsciously give them our energy. And this is not, once again, for you to feel a sense of blame, but to feel empowered. Often I like to envision myself flowing throughout the world, right? I do this because I always make the intention of wanting to live throughout this world with effortless ease. No, life isn't easy, but we can go through our challenges with a sense of ease. And often I like to envision myself always looking in a higher perspective when I'm confronted with someone who might be trying to hurt me in some way, might be trying to do something that I don't approve of. It's important to look at it from a higher perspective, and it's also important to laugh a little. Laugh it off. Laughter breaks through the ego, like, for sure. Sometimes when you sit back in situations and you think about your confrontation with another individual, sometimes you just have to laugh, because sometimes people literally think they have power over you and they don't. And it's so funny how they end up just giving up and it not happening. And so many times I find myself laughing, and it takes away that heaviness. And it makes me not take the situation so seriously. When you're taking these situations so seriously, it's so real. It feels so real to the mind. But when you let it all go, when you laugh it off, when you see it in a higher perspective, when you know that you have the power, these people, it's really nothing. It's truly nothing. If anything, it's a challenge that you overcame, that you transcended because of your awareness. You were alert, you were aware, and you were present. That's it. That's all. So, you know, take the time to find that value within you. Stop seeing yourself as some sort of victim that has to be in defense mode and has to hide away from some vampire. See yourself as a person who is looking at it for what it is, a very insecure individual who is just looking for some sort of action, some sort of entertainment to keep them alive, because you're giving them something that you don't want to give them. Don't take these things seriously. I remind myself of the same thing. We all go through the same thing, but just know that you have the power. All right. Remember, live with effortless ease. Life is challenging, but there's an ease to going through what you experience. My name is Morsi. Until next time, peace.